Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. All right, check this out, y'all. Shirley's life, other than Taz being locked up, was pretty good. Her mom, she got a boyfriend that treats her right, that treats Shirley right. Shirley's still getting her bread, making money. She's, growing up, becoming an adult, a young woman, and he's schooling her to the game, teaching her all the things that she needs to know. You know what I'm saying? The ins and outs of the business. Now, keep in mind, he wouldn't have won any Father of the Year awards or anything like that because he was teaching her the streets. But in the neighborhood that they were in, that meant something. Yes, he encouraged her to continue to go to school, and she did that. She didn't miss any school. Yes, he continued to encourage her in the ways of respecting her mother and those types of things. And she did that. But he taught her a way to make a living. And a lot of people look at that and say, well, he really taught her how to be a criminal. That's true. That's true. But in that time, in that neighborhood, that meant something to her and to her mother. And they loved him for it. And plus, like I say, she was her father's daughter. Now, as time goes on, the relationship between her mother and her boyfriend is blowing up. They love each other. They care about each other, and they're making big plans. You know what I'm saying? And he's a real street dude. He's getting that money, but he's selling weed and cocaine, while Shirley, she's just selling weed. You know what I'm saying? And her mom is still doing what she does. She's cooking plates for the hustlers and still having her spade games and stuff like that, right? But as in all things, you know what I'm saying, a monkey wrench had to get thrown into the game. And some of his workers that's out there in the streets, they end up getting popped. And when they got popped, they did what a lot of people in the streets do. They flipped on him. He didn't know this. He did not even know this. He found out when the police kicked in the door and busted him with a lot of drugs that he had hidden, buried on Shirley's property, on Shirley's mama's property in the backyard. So when they get all of this, they arrest Shirley's mom and him. And this is the feds. They both go down for that. Now Shirley's panicking. She's trying to figure out what to do. She doesn't have anybody to go to, any guidance at all whatsoever. So she goes to the prison to visit Tez. She's talking to Tez about what happened. He's heard about it. And he's telling her, everything is going to be fine. But he can't prove that. He's telling her that, her mom is going to be fine. But there's no way he'll know that. See, a lot of times when people get caught up, they think that, what the person needs to hear is a lot of patting on the back and everything's going to be fine. But people need to hear the truth. Her mother was facing some serious time in the penitentiary, and so was her mother's boyfriend, right? So arrangements were made for Shirley's mom to get out. They gave her a bond, and her boyfriend made sure that bond was made. He had a lot of money put up. So she was able to get out, but she wouldn't be able to come back and visit him because she was a co-defendant. So Shirley, she made arrangements to get on his visitation list. They allowed it, and she went to visit him. And when she went to visit him, she's talking to him. She's like, look, what's going to happen? And he laid it out that he was looking at a lot of time, and so was her mom. But he told her, he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my lawyers to go to the DA, make a deal, put all the charges on me. This is what he's telling her. And in exchange, he wants her mom to be cut loose. He'll take it all. He'll take it all. So this relieved Shirley a little bit. So she went home. She told her mom what was going on. Her mom was distraught. She did not want him to do that. She was a ride or die female. And she was like, let's fight it. Let's fight it. But it wasn't no fighting it. They got witnesses. Now he knows that were his workers. And they got the dope. And they got some money. There's no fighting that. They had all the warrants and everything in order. No fighting it. So his lawyer made the deal. They cut Shirley's mom loose, gave her probation. She ended up with 6 years probation. 6 years. And that's it. But she didn't do anything. She had nothing to do with his business. He was just living there. So he went down. He got quite a bit of time. He's serving his time. But when Shirley went to visit him, I'm going to call him from here on out. I'm going to call him her stepdad. Okay. So when she goes to visit her stepdad in prison, in federal prison, he tells her, say, look, now I need you to do something for me. And she asked, what? And he says, I want you to take over my operation for me. Build your own. I'm going to give you the plug, but you build your own operation with your own people. Because I don't trust any of the people that I had in my crew. This is what he's telling her. I don't want you to use any of them. Now, this was overwhelming for her because she had never dealt with cocaine before. But she was willing to try it. So she told him how would it work. And he told her he would put her in connect with the plugs and everything would be worked out on that end. He would make sure of that. Her first cop would be on him. He would take care of that. But they had to come to some kind of agreement on the splitting of the money while she worked, while he was locked up. Because he still wanted to be able to make money. He still wanted that. And it was his plug that she was going to be benefiting from, so why shouldn't he? So she agreed to everything, and she meets the plug, and they work everything out. Now she's deep in the game. She's deep in the game. But she doesn't have any customers like that, or so she thought. So she started talking to the people that she was using to get rid of the little weed, because she had expanded her operation beyond 2 people. She had about 8 people working for her now, and they were in different locations. But mainly, they were a little older than her, but they would work the high schools, selling weed to the high school students, and then some colleges. But when she introduced that cocaine to the game, it turned the game on, it took it to a whole nother level for her. Now she was making money faster than she ever was making it with the weed. And it was constant. But she had an unlimited supply. Now the plug, he was pleased with that because it brought him a whole new clientele. But she was making way more money than she had ever been making. And the demand for this cocaine was so high that she was always back and forth, trying to make sure that everything was straight. Now, her plug, they had this used car dealership, right? Where they would rent or lease a car to you on a weekly basis. Right? And this is how she would pick up from them. Every week, she would switch out cars. She's renting them out. Now, this is a legitimate used car dealership place. She'd rent out a car. But every time she go pick up a car, that car would be full of dope. They had it hidden in the doors and everywhere else, right? So when she would get home, she would take it apart. They showed her how to do it. Everything was pretty simple. She'd put the dope up and she'd be straight. She had an apartment separate from the house that her and her mom had moved in because her mom didn't want to live in the house that they grew up in because after the police raided. So she had enough money they got in her house, and she had an apartment that she kept separate and hidden from everybody else. That's where she took her dope. Totally separate from everybody. Nobody knew where she lived. Nobody even knew her in this area. So she felt safe putting things there. So now she's moving this dope. Now Tez, he's sitting in the prison, selling his little weed, smoking his little weed, but getting frustrated because he sees how she's changing. She's making a lot of money and he can see it. She's dressing a little different, even though she always dressed up. It's just that when you got that money that she had, you could see it, the rings that she would wear, the necklaces that she would wear. This stuff is high-end stuff. And he felt like he wasn't benefiting from it, even though she kept plenty of money on his books, plenty of money on the phone. Anything that you could want in prison, he had it. But he wanted a piece of the action. He wanted to be in it. So one day he was on the phone with some of the guys in the same state that he was in. But he had never met these guys. He'd never met them. But when you're talking on the phone to some of the brothers, you go, "What's up, bro? What's going on, bro? This and that." And then you exchange a few pleasantries and talk about the business a little bit. Next thing you know, that's my brother, that's my friend. But it's on a superficial level because you really don't know each other. But that's what it was. So one day, one of the guys, they asked him, said, "Man, you know anybody, man? I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that." And he stepped right in it. Said, "Yeah, I can take care of that for you. You know what I'm saying? I got that work, this and that," putting on like it's him, right? So he hollers at Shirley when she come to visit, say, "Look, I got somebody that wants to buy some work. You know what I'm saying? We can spread this thing all over the state." She said, "Who is it?" So he tells her. So she asked, excuse me, she asked the usual question. "Do you know him?" He put it on like, "Yeah, I know him. These are my brothers." She said, "How long you been knowing him?" He's evasive with it, but basically he's saying they the folks, they straight. So she relents. She said, "Okay." And then they end up buying a half a thing from him. Everything is good. The money's up front. Everything is straight. But she felt weird by it because it was like, this is the first time she stepped outside of her comfort zone. But she saw the potential in it. Now, Tez is putting on like he that dude. Folks in them think he's that dude. They're not looking at her as the one with that work. They're looking at him as the one with the work. She just taking care of business for her man that's in the penitentiary. And when she heard about that, she was cool with that. She said if anything ever go wrong, then it'll be on him. She was street savvy enough to know that, even though Taz was older than her. But Taz, he wanted a piece of the action. He wanted to be in it. So before you know it, Taz is gaining a reputation within the org as somebody that got that plug and can take care of the work. And his wife, well, they call them wifeys, you know what I'm saying? His girlfriend basically could take care of that. Just get at Taz. So Taz is gaining a reputation of being the go-to guy. And that's also allowing him to move up in the ranks. You feel what I'm saying? He's getting that type of respect, not because he's putting in work, but because he got that bag. So next thing you know, she's got stuff all over the whole state based off of what Taz is saying, supplying folks everywhere. And the supplier for her plug is like, "Man, you taking care of business." And they let her stepdad know this. This is turning out to be some real good thing. It's because she's making a lot of money for everybody. He's getting paid, they're getting paid, she getting paid. Taz is getting the reputation that he wants. Everything's looking good. Everything's working out just fine. And that's how it is. It always looks good. But of course, you know how things go. One of the guys that Taz has introduced to his gal starting to show a little shady side of himself. And he's looking at it like, if he's thinking it's Taz's stuff, so he's looking at her as like, this is just Taz's woman. Taz's woman. So I'm going to push up on her, because Taz is in the penitentiary. Now, this is one of his brothers, the folks now, that he don't really know. He just met over the phone. You feel what I'm saying? So folks start pushing up on him, trying to get at her. Texting her when they're not supposed to be texting her, calling her unexpectedly, asking her to go out to dinner with him. And she knows enough to not really want to tell Taz about it because she don't want to cause no friction with Taz and his brothers. You know what I'm saying? And plus, she's just about this money. She can handle herself in the street. But dude, folks is getting upset because he's being rejected by her. He don't like that one bit. He wants her attention. He feels like, why should she, be waiting for dude? He's locked up, even though this is his brother on paper only. The folks. You know what I mean? It really means nothing to a lot of brothers, y'all, I'm telling you. So he gets upset with her one day when she comes over to meet him at the spot to drop off the pack. He gets upset and he grabs her by the wrist. Now, she had already been taught in the street, she don't play no game. So she put her hand in her bag and she said, "Look, take your hands off me." He looking at her. He ain't even strapped. He don't know what she's got in that bag. So he take his hands off her and he tell her, "Look, it ain't got to be like that." Now he does what a lot of dudes do. He makes it sexual. "I know you want some dick. I know you do. How long you been without it? All of these old kinds of things, right? Thinking that that's going to get her to listen to him. She looks at him and just laughs. When she gets in the car, she already makes a note to herself. He's done. Cut him off. So when Taz calls her later on, she tells him, your brother that lives in such and such, but this and that, the third, his name is such and such, it's over with. Taz, he wants to act like, what's wrong? What's going on? You can't do that. She said, what you mean I can't do that? This is my shit. I do what I want to do. I'm doing this for you. I'm not going to be dealing with somebody like that. So she explains to Taz what went down. So Taz, now he's upset that one of the folks tried her. So he go to folks and say, look, we need to do something about that. Now Taz has been getting his little reputation as the dude that got that bag, right? So the rest of the fam, they don't want to mess up a good thing. They don't want to piss him off. Even though he's not up there in the rankings yet. They said, we'll take care of that, folks. We'll take care of that. So they make a call to the town. They have folks bump down on the brother that disrespected her, and they put hands on him. Real nice. Tap him up a little bit. Swole him up, pumpkin head time. Then they make him call her and apologize. She didn't want none of that. She didn't want none of that. You feel what I'm saying? But she talked, she accepted, kept it moving. He was still cut off. Enough said. Enough said. But the brothers that lived in that area that was getting it from him down, they want to talk to her. But she's starting to see that this is getting out of hand. See, because if Taz can get on the phone and have somebody do something to him, he's really creating this impression that he is running things, and now she's starting to react to what he wants done, and she's not in control of what's going on. She's totally fine with him putting his name out there for the little reputation and all this and that. Hey, because if something goes wrong, the police going to be looking for the person that they think is in charge. She's cool with that. This is street, y'all. This is street. He put himself in that situation, even though she loved him. But what she didn't like is that she didn't feel like she was in control of her own operation because of the foundation that he had laid. So she told Taz, look, we're going to have to back up a little bit. We're going to have to back up. You're going to have to make sure who you're sending to me before I do anything. And he understood exactly what she was saying. So he told folks to them, hold on a second, I got to get some stuff straight. He's delaying them. But while he was delaying them now, they getting pissed. They acting like, okay, we done went and put in work for you, took care of the business for you, and now you don't want to deal with us. Now they pissed. Now they plotting. They plotting. So now they starting to follow her, trying to figure out, okay, where is Tez's stuff at? Keep in mind, they think it's him. How is she doing this? Who is she meeting? So they see her driving every week. They're looking at her like, oh, she renting a car. She ain't got no money. They don't understand the game. They don't see what's going on. So they see her renting a different car every week. They see her going to the house, but they really never see her going anywhere else because she's smart enough to do that at night. She's smart enough to do that when nobody's watching her. Because once she takes the car to the house, listen to me. Once she takes the car to the house, she breaks it down, right? Then she leaves the house in another car on her way to the apartment under the cover of darkness. Nobody ever sees her go to this apartment. The people in the apartment complex, they've seen her, but they don't know what she does. They don't know what she does. She don't kick it with them. So folks in them that's following her, they're trying to figure out, we're going to get her. So one weekend while she was at the prison visiting Taz, they break into her house, and her mother's there. Her mother's there. Now keep in mind, they ain't got all of the Ring cameras like y'all got out there now, okay? They ain't have all that. So when they break into the house, they looking for their work. They pistol whip her mom, make it rough on her for a minute. She don't know nothing. She don't know where anything is. And she tells them that. They beat her a little bit, and then they leave. When Shirley gets home, she sees that her mom has been whooped. The house had been broken into. She's in there crying. She didn't call the police because she was scared that it might get Shirley in trouble because she knows what her daughter does. So she tells her daughter she don't feel safe there no more. She wants to move again. And Shirley's in agreement with it. So she takes her, they pack up their things, and she takes her to the apartment. Nobody knows where she lives now. Nobody. And she pulls back on who she's dealing with until she figures out what's going on. Now, folks from all over the state is in an uproar because she's not the only one, but she's one of their main plugs. Now, the plug that her stepdad has set her up with, he's asking questions. What is going on? What happened? All of a sudden, everything is slowed down. So she tells him. She tells him, and he says, who do you think it is? What's going on? So she starts to lay out all of the things that happened to her with the folks, and she telling Taz, and Taz having the folks put hands on him and all of this and that. So these dudes are street too. They piece it together. They say, okay, we'll take care of it. So they look into it. The streets talk, and they figure out exactly what's going on. Folks in that area is the one that had robbed her. They told her. They tried to rob her and whooped her mother. And they told her that we'll take care of this. We'll take care of all of this. Now, before they do, she tells them that she wants to go see her stepdad at the prison. And when she goes to goes to see her stepdad at the prison, she's telling him about everything he had already been told. And she asked him, what do you think I should do? And he told her, I'm going to let my guys handle it. So she agrees with that. And they go take care of the business. They bump down on folks in them in this one area. And it's all-out warfare. Now, folks in them don't know why these individuals came and rode on them like that. They don't know why this happened. But some of the brothers are starting to piece it together and say, man, it's got to be her. It's got to be her. So now they starting to look at Taz in a different way because they think it's Taz's work. They think she just putting in work for him because he's locked up. So folks now call the penitentiary, where after folks they in touch with the penitentiary, they let them know that, look, folks done sent somebody out here and done took care of the business and done shot up a couple of the brothers and shot up the spot. So now the folks in the penitentiary looking at Taz like, what you got going on? He don't know nothing. So guess what? Put him in that rack. They put hands on him, beat him, and he fold. You tell him, man, it's her. It's her operation. It ain't mine. Tell him about her stepdad, everything. Now, folks them lean back and like, oh, she a real boss then. You just her dude. Yeah. So now I'm looking at Taz myself like, I don't know what kind of games you playing, man, but you done created a bad situation. But what that did is let everybody know who she is. She's not to be played with. A real boss back in the day that can make shots, make calls and get things done. Taz was just her dude. But she would put in work like that. So now the streets is looking at her in a whole nother way, respecting the game. And then folks in them looking at it like, okay, y'all bumped down on her, tried to rob her, this, that, and the third. She shot back. You're lucky you ain't dead. Because folks weighed it up. All the other brothers that she was supplying this dough to, they looking at it like, yeah, it's messed up, she ain't taking that, but y'all shouldn't have did what you did. They looking at the money. And they tell folks them stand down or get laid down. So they stood down. And she resumed her operation with a lot of the guys, but they pulling up on her, they talking to her, they trying to explain to her, look, we done took care of that. You can trust us again, blah, 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 blah. We didn't know. We thought this was Taz. But she's so street savvy, she ain't hearing none of that. She said, we'll do business, but we'll do business to another person now. And that's just that on that. You called me, I have it get brought to you. So she basically told him, look here, I don't trust you no more. And this is how it's going to be, or it's not going to be. I wanted to share this story with you because a lot of people don't understand the streets and how things work in the streets. A lot of people pretend to put on. But see, a lot of these street stories that you hear, they're true. And it locks people into the game. Now, I'm going to tell you in this next episode what her life has been like lately. What her life has been like lately. After all these years, what has Shirley been up to? I'm finna let you know that. But you're going to have to tune into this next episode. You feel what I'm saying? Because it ain't what you think. It ain't what you think. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.